Hello, and welcome to today's Q&A about weight loss in TCM. All right, so basically, I want to come in here and I want to share with you what I know over many years of not only practicing Chinese medicine, but also being interested in weight loss. And I've been very fortunate in my life. This is one of the things that I think I'm the most grateful for, and I've been the most fortunate in, is that I have throughout my life been blessed with the most amazing mentors in all of the fields of study that I'm interested in and that really make a difference in life. And so because I've been blessed with this information and transformation, I obviously make it my life's mission now to share it. And so a lot of you are in this group because you've been asking questions about menopausal weight gain, okay? And ultimately, there just isn't a pill obviously there is a pill or a shot called Ozempic, but there's so many side effects with using that. It's just not worth it. In nature, everything keeps a balance. Everything works together in nature to create balance, harmony, and wholeness. And what it is that our body is part of nature. And so Chinese medicine, the system I practice, is study of living organisms. It's the study of the cycles and the seasons and the yin and the yang. You know, yin is night and day is yang. Yin is cool and wet and yang is hot and dry. And yin is feminine and yang is masculine. Now, we are women. And so therefore our bodies are feminine bodies. And so the yin energy is where we thrive. And so much of the advice that's been kind of like given over the years has been aimed at men. Men's minds and men's bodies and men's energy systems work in a polar opposite way than women's do. And so the way men work is set a goal, push hard within a time frame, achieve the goal, and don't stop till you've hit it. But that is the most detrimental thing to a woman's body, hormones, and mental health as well, okay? So the fact that we have a monthly cycle is a clue to the fact that we are cyclical beings, not this linear straight line, go, push, never stop, work till you drop. That's not how women are designed, okay? And when it comes to weight loss, what's kind of like the accepted narrative is it's, you know, cut your calories and up your exercise. And whilst that might get you some very short-term gains, it's not going to sustain you, and it's actually going to damage your metabolism even more. And when we think of the fact that not only are women cyclical, but we're not living to our cycles because of the way this world is set up, okay? And in 2025, the level of busyness is just so off the scale now. So back in 2000s, like the early 2000s, so where are we now? 2025. Okay, it's quite a long time ago, actually. It was maybe even 20 years ago. But I got interested in weight loss. And I became a personal trainer. And I did a lot of weight training in a very masculine gym. But even there, my approach to weight loss, I was very blessed to have an amazing mentor in the gym. And this was a guy that actually trained bodybuilders to like very high level, competition level bodybuilders from all over Wales would come and get trained by this guy. And what he taught me back then was invaluable. And it was actually about training in a way that's minimal. So like if we're talking about weight training, which is actually excellent for women of a menopausal age, in terms of weight training, it was about lifting heavy, but doing very short amounts of reps and sets and having a lot of rest in between. Because all of the transformation occurs in the rest. So the rest is as important as the work. And so that was my first kind of introduction to weight loss that works. Okay, and obviously the more muscle you've got on your body, the faster your metabolism becomes. And then I was very blessed and fortunate to meet an amazing woman in London who became my mentor for quite a few years. And she was a weight loss specialist to the stars, to the royal family. Royal people from all over the world would fly in and spend a month with her. And she would put them through this month-long weight loss program. And what the program was 7 minutes of exercise a day, and it was weight bearing. And it was large intestine, liver detox and large intestine cleansing, colon cleansing. And then a diet, which was 4,000 calories a day. Okay, 4,000 calories a day for weight loss. So nothing below 2,000 calories, 4,000 calories a day for weight loss. Okay, and in that system, it wasn't even so much about the calories per se, but it was about what you were eating. Okay, so you were cleansing your liver, cleansing your colon, which in itself rectifies a lot of sluggish metabolism problems, cleanses a lot of toxins, heals the digestion so that the body can actually assimilate the good food that you're eating, but then eating very nutrient dense, yes, they were high calorie, but they were high nutrient dense foods, healing foods for your body that would give you an abundance of energy. Okay, so notice the difference between calorie restriction and intensive exercise on top of an already overburdened system in a masculine society where we're already burnt out and we're already doing more than our feminine capacity can hold. So the body, the hormones and the mind are struggling, and then you go and cut calories and increase exercise. It creates so much stress and so much cortisol. It puts you on a fast track to a horrendous menopause. Try to lose weight that way. And as many of you have probably found, it doesn't work either. Okay, so what is the solution? So we can glean good insight from all these different systems that I've been lucky enough to learn throughout my career. And then the icing on the cake, the piece de la résistance, Chinese medicine for weight loss. And this is where it really changes the game. Because what we do in Chinese medicine is we look for the root cause organ. So the root cause organ for weight loss and metabolism and energy is actually the spleen in Chinese medicine. And it's a very well-known fact in Chinese medicine that if your spleen is weak, you will have sluggish digestion, fatigue, brain fog, and you will look puffy. You will be holding excessive, what we call dampness and phlegm in your body. So it's not fat, it's dampness and phlegm. And so if your spleen is weak and it can't transform the food into energy, and then you go and increase exercise and restrict calories even more, you're just doing even further damage to the spleen. And then that's going to have knock-on effects for your emotions and for your mental health as well, and your hormones and your immune system. Okay. And so when the spleen is weak, because organs are not just about the physical functions in Chinese medicine, they're about the mental, emotional and energetic functions as well. There's an aspect of your soul that resides in your spleen. Okay. And there's also, if your spleen is weak, you tend to overthink and you end up in a loop of overthinking and worry. And the more you overthink and worry, the more it weakens the spleen. And so it ends up on this downward spiral where you're overthinking everything. So now you think you've got ADHD, you're worrying, you're not sleeping, and your cortisol levels are going through the roof. And then you're actually gaining even more weight and your energy is plummeting. Okay. And all of these are, typical menopause symptoms. And so my approach to the menopause is not about hormones. It's not, and it's definitely not about supplements. Okay. It's about healing these organs, giving these organs the energy they need to thrive. And then you will be able to maintain your ideal weight effortlessly. Because if your body's got enough energy, it knows what to do with that energy. And it's part of nature, and it's able to keep a homeostasis, and it's able to work in sync with nature around it. So put yourself in nature as much as possible. Follow the circadian rhythms of the year. So now that we're going into the darker half of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, go to bed earlier. Get more sleep. Every hour of sleep that you get before midnight is worth 2. So if you go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night, that's 4 hours worth of sleep before midnight. And then hopefully another 6 after midnight. That's 10-hour sleep, the equivalent of, okay? So we start to repay this energetic debt by increasing our sleep. And then my fundamental approach to menopause, burnout, and women's health in general is an approach I call being more yin. So to be more yin is to be more in your feminine, and to basically increase your energy effortlessly, okay? And if your body's got enough energy, I actually did an experiment with myself when I was at home living with my parents, and I was going to the gym a lot, and I was doing all of this heavy lifting at the gym, and I was eating a lot of protein, and I actually did experiments with myself to see if I got a lot of sleep. So, because I love sleep, I could easily go to sleep at 8 o'clock in the evening and wake up at 8 o'clock the next morning, like a 12-hour sleep. When I would do that, I would have lost weight. Like my waistline would have actually shrunk. And so when we're not getting enough sleep and when we're not getting enough rest, it's counterintuitive to losing weight. And there's just so many women today that think they've got ADHD, when actually the last thing you need now is another label, another diagnosis, and another drug. What you need is yin energy. So you get yin from sleep, you get yin from the earth, so connect with the earth and be in nature as much as possible. There's a practice which I call being more yin. 20 minutes of this practice is the equivalent of 4 hours of the deepest sleep. So if insomnia is one of your problems, then practicing this practice 20 minutes a day will start to pay back that sleep debt for you. And there's certain foods that actually strengthen the spleen. And my biggest top tip for you to take away from today is make sure now, especially as we're going into the winter, that everything you ingest is warm. So warm breakfast, something like porridge, use warming sweet herbs like cinnamon, ginger tea, these kind of things, okay? Soups and stews and warmth. And if you are having something cold, like say you're at work and you need to have a sandwich for lunch, then have something warm with it. Either take a flask of soup with you or have a herbal tea with your cold sandwich, so that there's warmth going into your digestive system. And then that's going to be one less job for your spleen to do, because part of the spleen's role is to warm the food in the stomach ready for digestion. So if you're eating cold and damp and raw food all the time, I know so many menopausal women that are doing frozen smoothies for breakfast. So you're beginning your day on a deficit because you're robbing the spleen of energy the minute you wake up to just warm. Like, think of the digestive system as like cooking food. When you put the food in your stomach, it's almost like your stomach's got to cook it. And as it cooks in your stomach, it breaks down. And then the spleen is easily able to transform and transport the nutrients around your body. But if your digestion is cold, how much energy does that take from the spleen to actually warm it up to the level it needs to be at to be digested well? And so if we're taking freezing cold breakfasts, by the time we've warmed and digested that, we're at lunchtime and we're back to another cold salad and fruit for lunch and an iced drink or something like this. So all of this is counterintuitive to your efforts. And you may be spending an absolute fortune on organic food, on supplements. And if your spleen is weak and your system is cold, you're not even able to transform and transport the nutrients from that food and from those supplements, okay? So it comes back to this fundamental truth that we need to heal and support our organs for optimal energy, optimal health, optimal metabolism, and optimal mental health and emotional well-being as well. And then once we've got that, then we can manifest. Then we can create the life of our dreams. But without any energy, we're going nowhere fast. So, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. I really welcome your questions, okay? In human design, my strategy is responding. And so I want to be in response all day long to your questions. So please ask me as many questions as you want. I love you, and I'll speak to you again in here and on the internet very soon.